Hey everybody, so if you haven't already heard, the Montreal Canadiens have signed Alex Romanov. Actually, they've come to terms with Alex Romanov. They haven't officially signed a contract and have it registered with the NHL because they're waiting to see whether or not the season's going to restart and whether or not Alex Romanov will be allowed to come and play for the remainder of the season. And if not, they'll sign him prior to the next season. That's how it turns out. So he hasn't really signed, but he has come to terms. So that means there's an agreement and just a formality to sign. Okay, so because of that, I thought, you know what, why not take a closer look at Alex Romanov and go into a little more detail than I did in previous videos. I think I made one video on him and then the announcement for the signing. So I thought I'd take a little bit of a deeper dive and go into a little bit closer detail. So it's a closer look at Alex Romanov, the newest Montreal Canadien, who I think is going to be a really good player and a huge star here in Montreal. Okay, so we're going to take a quick look. I'll say how quick. So he was a second-round pick, 38th overall by Montreal in the 2018 entry draft. So right now he is 20 years old. He's 5'11", 185 pounds. So he's not a big guy, but he does use that size well. So I saw a quote, and I think I might have it here, where he plays taller and heavier than he actually is. I'll get to the quote later. So he was named the best defenseman at the 2019 World Junior Championship, and we were hoping, I was hoping, at the 2020, but he wasn't. I don't remember who was named, but he was in the running. So it would be 2 years in a row. Apparently it's never happened. 2 years in a row that a young defenseman's named best defenseman at the tournament. In the KHL, he played 86 games over 2 seasons. He went 1 goal, 10 assists for 11 points, and he was a plus 37. Now, those points, I don't know if that's an indication of what his offensive production could be in the NHL. At the World Juniors, in 2 seasons, he played 14 games. He scored 2 goals, 12 assists for 14 points, and he looked really good there especially against the guys his own age. Don't forget, KHL, he's playing against guys way older than him. He was one of the youngest players in the KHL. He projects as a top 4 defenseman. He's a puck-moving defenseman. Even though he's more on the defensive side, he's a puck mover. Physical two-way defenseman and a shutdown guy. This is the guy you're going to put out. You want to shut down the other team. This is the guy you're going to put out. At the end of a power play, when, like 30 seconds left or whatever, and the other team is going to be putting out their top power play line, you want this guy on. You're going to want him on defense. Craig Button says he compares to a Guy Lapointe, always on his toes physically and mentally. Comparing him to Guy Lapointe, some might say, oh, that's like maybe putting a lot of pressure on the guy. Maybe so. I don't think so. I think this kid can handle it. But a guy like Guy Lapointe, let's put it this way. I think if we had Guy Lapointe right now on the Montreal Canadiens, he'd be the #1 defenseman. Yeah, he was the number 3 of the big 3 of Larry Robinson, Serge Savard, Guy Lapointe. He might have been number 3 in that, that grouping, but he was a great defenseman. He really was, and that's a great comparison. And I think that from what I've seen of his play, I think it's a pretty good comparison. Myself, I think it's a pretty good comparison. So he's always on his toes physically and mentally. Means he's always prepared. Habs call him the assassin. I know I had it out that it was the destroyer, but Eric Engels, who actually wrote the piece where I got that from originally, just as I put out the video announcing that they signed him, I saw on Twitter where he changed it and corrected that it was a mistake, and it's the assassin. So they call him the assassin because he kills the opponent's plays. He kills the plays in his own zone. They call him the assassin. I like the name. It's a great name for what he's going to be, I hope. His grandfather won 2 KHL championships in, I don't know how many years ago, coaching the AK Bars Kazan team. Romanov respects his coaches and is very coachable. And this is something that, is good because if you look at Alex Galchenyuk, that's really the biggest problem with Galchenyuk was his father was a coach, and I believe his parents came to live here with him. And he was always in his head kind of nagging him, like, don't listen to your coach, you got to do this. Don't listen to that, you got to do this. It's not going to happen here with Romanov. He respects coaches, and he's a very coachable kid. So as I was saying earlier, he should have more offense to his game than the KHL numbers indicate. He had limited ice time and responsibility over there because they were pretty sure he was not going to stay. This is what the talk is, that he wasn't going to stay with the KHL team. So they didn't really try to develop him overly. They didn't give him a ton of ice time and they didn't give him a ton of responsibility. And I think that's the main reason why his numbers are that low. Yeah, I don't out of the shot. Sorry. But I think that's really the main reason why the numbers are that low, because if you look at his World Juniors, then yes, it's against younger talent. I get that. But if you look at his World Junior numbers, he's basically getting a point a game. Is he going to get that in the NHL? No. But he's also not going to be that low. He's going to put up more offense, kind of the way Guy Lapointe did. Guy Lapointe would always be there with that timely goal, big assists, big physical hits. It sounds a lot like Romanov. He's a great skater, apparently, really great skater. His balance, footwork, lateral agility, edge work, and pivots are all above average. Great anticipation and vision. This is important. Now, you hear that a lot about the offensive guys, the forwards, but this guy has great anticipation and great vision. So he knows what's going on around him, and he knows where to be. He's kind of like Nick Suzuki, who has this great anticipation, knows where to be on the ice, and gets himself there. It looks like maybe, why is he going there? And there's a reason. This guy has that anticipation and vision. He's a really good passer, maybe even an underrated passer a bit, from what I can tell. He has a very high hockey IQ, which probably has a lot to do with grandfather being a coach. Probably from a very young age, this kid has received a ton of hockey knowledge. His hockey IQ is good. He's got good read and react. Read and react, that means what a player does kind of without thinking. Just react to the situation. And in hockey, the way the puck bounces, the way things happen, it's very fast. You need to be able to react, not stand there and try to figure out what's going to happen. So that's read and react, and he is really good at that. He's got a good shot. From what I read, it's a heavy shot. It's got a good wrister, a good slap shot, but still needs improvement. So that's something that he'll have to work on. And there's not too many things. And I read his scouting reports, whatever. I just was combing the internet again. There's not a lot of bad things said about this kid, which is a great thing. Since doing this channel, I've read a lot of scouting reports on players that I had never done that before. And, you get what he needs to work on, all that. There's very little this kid needs to work on. So this is really good. That's why he's projected to be a surefire NHLer and a star. Plays a very physical game. So like I said, with Guy Lapointe, timely hits, big hits. This guy, he's very physical. He throws a good hip check. He likes to get into play by being physical and hitting. So you're going to see a lot of that, which is what you want to see from your defense. Even though he's only 5'11", but he knows how to use his body, which I'm going to get to. He has an active stick. He gets in the way of pucks and breaks up plays in all three zones. He's not a defenseman that's going to be like in the offensive zone down low by the net. He stays up by the blue line, but his stick is active. He blocks passes. He gets in the way of things in all zones with his stick, with his foot, with whatever. He's a really good, solid defender. That's why he's a shutdown guy. So like I said, he's a smaller guy at 5'11", but gets good leverage with his stick and his body in puck battles along the boards, especially. That's where your stick and your body, you got to get it, when the guys are bigger than you, especially, you got to know where to get in there against them so you can be effective, and he knows how to do that. He's tough to beat no matter how big or fast you are. This is something I read. He's tough. You can't go around this kid. He's tough to go around because it doesn't matter what your size is. You try to go through him. He's a physical player, and his anticipation, he knows what you're trying to do, apparently, and you can't beat him. I mean, sure, there's times when people go around him. He's not 100%, but he's tough, and that's what we need. Let's see. Got one more over here. So in one-on-ones, he doesn't wait to see what his opponent will do. But instead, he attacks aggressively right away. So when he's in a one-on-one situation, he's not sitting back waiting, and that's how you beat defensemen a lot of times, is if they sit back on you, and then you can, a lot of times, if you're talented enough, you're going to go around them. But this guy doesn't wait for that. You get in a one-on-one situation, that's part of the read and react. He knows how to read the situation and react to it right away. So he doesn't hesitate, he's aggressive, and he goes after you. And I mean, everything that I've read about him is good. So I watched some of his highlights. This kid looks good. Now I get it. Not all the highlights are in the KHL, but a lot of the highlights are from the KHL, and that's where you can see not his offense because he didn't do a lot offensively there, but you can see his physical play, his anticipation, his vision. That's where it shows. So, like, if you really want to see this kid before we actually see him in a Habs uniform, go check out the highlights that are available on YouTube, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He's just if you've ever watched the old Habs and saw Guy Lapointe play, he's a lot like that. He doesn't show that offense right now, but that physical side and the defensive side. So go check that out and see. Let me know what you think. So in the comment section, let me know what you think about this, about what you think about Alex Romanov in general. And if you've gone to check out any of the highlights, please come in and leave a comment. Let me know what you think in that comparison to Guy Lapointe and all that. So this is the video. Thanks, everybody. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. We're going to really like Alex Romanov. That I'm quite sure of. So also, while you're down there to give the thumbs up, leave any comments you may have in the comment section. That's down there. And if you haven't already, subscribe, ring the notifications bell. That's going to get you your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge right here at Talking Habs. I want to thank everybody for watching. Please stay safe in all this that's going on. Wash those hands. Wear a mask when you go out. The only time I don't wear a mask, I walk my dog 4 times a day. So the last one's usually around midnight. It's the only time I don't wear a mask because I don't, I'm almost guaranteed not to bump into anybody or walk side by side on the sidewalk. So yeah, it's a long way to say wear a mask and stay in as much as you can. We still need to do that. Even though things are opening up, we still need to stay in when you don't need to be somewhere. So that's it. Sorry to bother you with that. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. And peace out, y'all. See you next video.